have or something about that going on. Now, one other item here as well. You'll notice this little icon up here. This capability allows us to, in real time, do two things. One, we're capturing customer sentiment. Why? Because hopefully that the system, what we're doing is we're looking at what is the customer saying and what words are they using. And those help tell us, are we delivering an experience that's going to provide us a positive customer satisfaction score. And so we're listening to everything that's happening. We're also building a real-time journey summary. So as things progress, we're going to continue to update this as well. And you'll see that up here in the top as well. And so these two items become really informative for the agent if they're not necessarily listening as closely as they might. Well, here's an alert saying, well, the customer is neutral. Ideally, we want the customer to leave with a very positive view. They're not there yet. So that's okay. So what would happen here? Let's go and I'm going to do really quickly is shrink this guy down, this screen, so you can get a better view of both happening at once. And hopefully that makes it a little simpler for everybody. Okay, so the customer, you said hello, that's great. And let me just give you an example. Not that a hello is going to set somebody off, but yeah, you never know. Customer, you never know. So the customer says, oh, well, I'm at a problem. I'm angry about your level of service. Just the idea that they expressed that viewpoint. And the reason that becomes important is now you can see we've immediately picked up the customer sentiment is negative. That's not a good thing, right? And so commonly the answer that you can prompt for an agent would be something on the order of, hey, I'm sorry, here's, that you have that, you feel that way, what can I do to help make you happy? Now, all of these prompts, by the way, are also available in a quick response library. So you can build all sorts of quick responses. So the customers, your agents aren't typing, they're just selecting and cutting and basically inserting. They don't even cut, they just insert. Many of them have built-in information from your CRM environment or our contact information. So it's agent name or customer name, whatever. And so it can become very personalized, and the ability for agents to actually manage multiple chat sessions concurrently between having all of the emotions being identified here and having a quick response library means agents can handle multiple chats with relative ease, which means you don't have to add a lot of additional staff to handle those kinds of situations. You can have people doing 2 or 3 chats concurrently because keep in mind, as you're probably aware, having perhaps done chat yourself, the expectation is when you send a message, the agent has to read it and then it's going to reply. Conversely, the customer has to read it and then issue a reply. And those occasions of reading, the expectation is not voice, where I say something, you say something immediately back. It's I type something and then there's a period, an expectation of some period of time. And with automation invoked, we can use those time gaps to actually manage multiple occasions or multiple conversations. So what we're going to do here is customer said, sorry, feel that way. That's great. And so the question becomes, hey, I received a broken item. Can I get it replaced? So Dimitri's going to send another message across. Yeah, I'm upset, whatever. And so can I get a new, can I return the product? To which the agent's going to say, hey, yeah, I'm happy to help here. What about, is it about the specific order? Well, how did the agent know what order it was? Well, remember we had the customer provide us information. In this case, it was, social security number and a birthday, but account number information, whatever else you might be asking about, that data can be looked up and the agent immediately recognizes, hey, here's what this could be about. You'll notice as well, we've gone from negative to neutral. Yeah, we're not positive yet, and that's the goal. We want to get to positive. That's how we know the customer's going to be happy when they leave the chat session. And so what we end up here is, yeah, likely the customer says, yeah, you found my order. Thanks. That's the one I want. That's where the problem is. So now the agent will know, okay, so I got confirmation. That's the order. All right. So what the agent's going to do then, traditionally, this is again just an example of what would happen here, is that the agent would say, okay, here's what I can do for you. How about, and again, this is not something that bot necessarily do. This is why we escalated. Agents can say, all right, how about if I, process the return, we'll get you an email. And if you reorder, because the thing arrived broken, right? That's part of the return, a broken item. We'll give you a 10% discount. And remember, they asked about a discount. So we're going to address both of those concerns with this one message, and the agent's authorized to do this per policy. And what happens here in this kind of situation, again, all in an example, is the customer comes back getting that message from the agent and says, oh my gosh, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful thing. And what we see as, again, we start processing this, and we have the sentiment going to positive. So now the agent has been getting the coaching along the way. We've got the summary going along as well to see that, yeah, now we're in a positive state. Questions about that? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, I have a question about the automated responses. Do we make those? Like currently a live person, they have canned responses, but I don't think anyone makes them to utilize them, like our storage users team or our call center team. The ones on CX1, are those automatically made by AI, or are those ones that we can make when we're onboarding a new customer, or if storage decides to make it in the future, whatever the case may be?
That's really a good question. So there's a couple of things that are happening here, and one, you have the auto response, the quick responses. You would make all those, build all those, and then the agents can decide if they want to tag some of them as favorites. I haven't tagged any yet, but you could tag them as favorites. Inside our Copilot, you can actually have this system set up so that it does make suggestions based on intent, based on whatever is happening with the customer. So rather than the agent, as we saw, just composing messages, you could have messages automatically, suggestions generated based on what the AI is seeing within the conversation, and make suggestions and bring in data and suggest maybe links to articles that may help, or an RMA process or anything else. So you have a wide latitude of what can be auto-generated here from an AI perspective, so that you don't actually have to go build a quick release or a quick response library. It's really up to you and how you've designed the AI environment. And we certainly can help you with that design so that you'll have auto-generated responses.
Thank you. That actually leads me to another question. I think currently the canned responses are shared between the storage treasures team and then the call center team, and sometimes don't, since they're talking to two different customer bases. That's why I typically stay away from the canned responses, because it was available to everyone. So sometimes the call center team didn't need one that the storage treasures did. So would you be able to separate both depending on the teams?
Yes, we can. So you could have these response libraries. They can be actually connected to groups or teams, so that you would have different offers of quick responses depending on what group you're a part of. So if you're in returns or in orders or whatever group you might be a part of.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now one of the other aspects of this capability that we often run into is that there are occasions where what we really want to look at is the ability to have the supervisor take a look at what's going on, right? So if you've got agents, you likely have supervisors. And before I end this chat, the one thing I wanted to highlight here was the ability that as things go south with an agent, if they're working with a customer, we have the ability to tag those situations. So when, say, a sentiment is negative, a supervisor can be alerted and they could go in and very quickly just say, well, let me go see what's going on. Let me go monitor that chat session. And so, oh, I need to restart this guy. Hang on a second. Let me just reload him. He timed out a little bit here. Okay. So I can go in and bring this guy up. Let me come down here to my agent and bring him up and monitor the chat session. And so what you end up with is the ability for the supervisor to actually see what's going on, see all of the entire interaction that's been happening here. And then they also have the option to go in and they can, assist. So I, as a supervisor, I can send messages, private messages to the agent saying, let's do this, let's do that, whatever it is you want to, basically real-time coaching, if you will. They can join the conference. So the supervisor can insert themselves into the thread, now make it a three-way chat session, if that's what's appropriate. Perhaps a customer saying, let me talk to your supervisor, whatever, or in fact, the supervisor can take over the session. So there's full capability here. Again, this is across all the different media streams, the same way you would do it on voice, we are doing it on chat and anything else. So I could jump in even on social media postings and stuff, should you want to do that and watch what's going on. So you've got ability from a supervisor standpoint to keep an eye on what's happening and be very interactive with the agents as they're working through and addressing customer situations that have come up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So one last thing here. So Dimitri he's all happy here. That'd be wonderful. And there'd be some sort of message here. Now, one thing that happens here when the chat ends, that's really important, right? So we're going to end the chat and that's done. But that's not the end, because very often what happens is people say, well, yeah, well, I need a summary, right? Agents will often spend a couple of minutes typing into a CRM environment, what happened, what occurred, what was said, what was agreed to, all this sort of stuff. And they've been, it's sort of funny, ironically, but in many situations, the second most popular app on the agent's desktop is Notepad. Now, I don't know if your agents are that situation, but that's where a lot of people, it's either they're writing stuff on little notepads and then they remember to type it all into their summaries. What about the possibility that we give you a very comprehensive summary? Everything that's gone on, all the things that were said, the resolutions, the key information, all the sentiment there, notice it captured it and how it changed as we went through the interaction. And then as well, complete information about the full conversation itself and all the different takeaways. So a very detailed capture of everything that occurred, and you can push that into your CRM environment. You'll save it inside CX1 as well, so it's visible within the, next time this customer calls, you could see those histories. So you can memorialize it in one or more places so that you don't have to type all this. How many minutes are being saved per interaction simply by going in and letting us create the summary and having you be able to save that out and make it really simple for the agents. Does that make sense?
Does it continue the interaction history, whether it's voice or chat, as long as it recognizes that it's the same customer?
Yeah, so the summaries are tied to the singular interaction, but it would become part of a continuous listing of contacts with that customer. So you could go see those over time, over time, the different interactions you've had.
And just to piggyback, is the history of those interactions per agent, or if one customer interacts with 5 different agents, will we see all of those chat interactions?
Well, that's a great question. Yes, it's tied to the actual customer, not to the agent. So every interaction with any resource in your company would be captured and saved as part of the interactions with that specific customer. Now, that's not saying you can't get it by agent as well, because we actually give you both. So you can capture, and we're actually going to go, that's a really good lead in. I didn't realize I put that cue card up. We're actually next thing I wanted to highlight for you was how those interactions become, and the individual interactions become part of an evaluation process and part of our analytics capabilities. And so we've actually done both. You have the summary going associated with the customer and the interaction itself connected to an interaction log that we can look at for all of the different agents to see who's been talking with whom and how did things go. Does that answer your question?
Yes, perfect for me at least.
Yes, thank you.
Fantastic. Oh yeah.
Tina has a question.
We keep everything for everybody because everybody wants something. So we try to give everybody everything. Okay. So we've got
Mark,
the
we've got a
interaction
question.
there. I'm sorry?
There's a question from Tina.
Yeah.
Yes, just one quick question. Thank you. Where the summary is captured, and you mentioned that that could be integrated into our system such as Live Agent, do we copy and paste it in there, or is that automatically that box, whatever is linked to where we would want to see the summary to send off to a customer or, to one of our supervisors? How does that link?
Question. You can do it either way or both, depending on where you want to land. So we have the ability, if the destination where you want to save this has an API interface that allows us to submit information into specific fields, we can then have it automatically pushed. In addition, you could cut and paste it to other things should you want to do that. At the end of a chat session, you can have a copy of the chat session emailed to the customer automatically so they can see the entire history as well of what's occurred, plus commitments made by the agent. They'd have a record of those occurring as well. So you've got lots of flexibility there, just depending on what environment and what's your general practice internally.
And can that summary be changed? I mean, once it's in there, can somebody go back in there and rewrite the narrative if they wanted to? We hope that they don't. That's what I'm trying to get at. They can't go in and change that, right?
So the answer is, can they change it? Yes, they can change it. Is that change tracked? It is. Okay. And so we can actually show you how effective the summaries have been, because the idea behind the summary is that the agent doesn't have to do anything. It has all the data that's necessary. Those summaries are actually built, essentially they're driven by prompt editors, if you're familiar with some of the AI stuff. So you can craft the content and be very specific. I need to have these specific fields and these specific items in every summary. The goal being that over time, as you get, and different groups can have different summaries as well. But the goal is to get to a point where you have a minimal number of agents needing to make changes, and it's on a rare occasion as you make sure you include stuff. Now you may include a lot of stuff maybe that isn't always needed, but sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And so the goal state that we try to help you get to is the point where agents don't need to do anything. But until then, you'll see it, how effective the changes are, how good the summaries are or not, as well as what sort of auto prompting or had they've selected or not. And so everything they do that you try to help them, you get to see, in fact, did the agent accept the help? Did they modify the help? Or did they ignore the help? And you'll get that kind of reporting as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another
question.
Alessandro.
Hey, Mark, yes. I just want to have a confirmation of if an interaction between an agent and a customer happen through voice, we will have the transcription of the conversation?
Yeah, we'll do real-time transcription and build the summaries for you from that.
Oh, so it's a summary, it's not just the actual conversation.
You can, if you want the real time, you want the actual transcription, you can have
Mhm.
those as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we capture those, and again, those become part of your interaction histories. We'll show you in a moment what that looks like. It's all there for you.
Uh-huh. And in the interaction history, every different type of interaction has like a label, meaning like
It does.
I have
Yep.
like
An
a
ID.
transcript of that says voice, something else that says chat, something else that says SMS or WhatsApp, whatever it is.
That's correct. Yeah, we'll
Yep.
show you that in a couple of minutes. So just, you got a couple cue cards ahead of me there, but that's
Okay,
coming
thanks.
real quick.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to Monique real quick. Go ahead, Monique.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, Mark. So, my only thing so far that's really jumping at me or that I'm very curious about is because I understand the interactions and how these will happen on the storage treasures level, but I know you guys mentioned that you've also had conversations with our call center, but I guess it's going to be interesting to see down the line how exactly this would be onboarded or implemented for the call center end because ultimately we're servicing our customers. And like right now we use your guys' DIDs to create a live chat connection, along with other steps, of course. So I really want clarity on that aspect, or at least I know that's going to be a major question we'll have because from what I'm seeing from the outside looking in, I'm not sure if the onboarding process is going to have to change drastically or if it's really just changing how, the approach.
You have chat today, correct?
Yes, we have chat today, and we use live person. So we're setting up, we're either setting, I can't remember exactly how we go about it, or might know better, but we basically put their live chat on the customer's website, and then that pings over to our live chat team here. But we we use DIDs to associate that connection in a way. So we use direct that inward dialed numbers through Ring Central to set up a live chat at the moment.
Okay. Because I believe you could use the same process today as well
Okay.
to launch the CX1 chat.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Okay.
so if you want to maintain that process, you certainly can. And we could support all of that. And again, it's the same idea of, you've got the DIDs that give you an idea of what the sourcing is. And
Okay.
we can do that. You can also then expand it should you want. There's lots of ways, again, if you introduce, say, an intelligent agent,
Hmm.
right, that's going to maybe help take some of the load off, some of the low-hanging fruit questions kinds of stuff, and then they want to escalate. You ask various questions of the persons on the website, the browser, and they supply you whatever data. We can then route on that data as well. So not just the DID route you have now, but maybe there's other data you can capture that perhaps, whether it's an account number or it's a specific vendor you're working with or whatever, they type that in and we route based on that in the same way you'd use the DID routing. So quite honestly, there's as many different identification methods that you can imagine. We can likely use them all to make routing decisions to the point where you don't necessarily route a chat to a queue. You could route a chat to a specific agent. I talked to so-and-so last time, there was a very successful outcome. Maybe you want to make the decision, let's put that customer back to the same agent. There's some continuity there. We want to, work to build maybe some social relationship of whatever. And, if that's fits in your business model, you could go to that extreme as well.
Okay. That answers my question I had. And I just wanted to know. So there's a potential that our process doesn't have to change drastically, but as we explore the option, that would be defined with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really, your creativity is going to be the only limitation.
All right.
Yeah.
That and
We're
culture,
creative.
right? Yeah, to get people to make changes. Change is tough. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, Gabriel, are you the last question? I love questions. This is great.
I believe so. Mine is more of a security question since we're using AI tools. I really want to know how we're handling prompt injections on these, just to make sure that the data that we gather is correct, right? since there's various ways that people can abuse these kind of systems, especially, it can be something as simple as unrealistic commitments to the client. They can prompt inject themselves some 50% off of a unit, right? All the way to data leaks if the agents have tool calling abilities. So just want to know how prompt injections are being handled for people that are trying to be sneaky or malicious.
You mean you want to buy a car for $1? Isn't that the famous one that dealership ended up having to anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, they sold it. ChatGPT sold a car for $1 or something. So we have built systems in with our AI capabilities, unlike a traditional just sort of out of the box GPT kind of model. We don't do it that way. All right,
Okay.
so we do have RAG capabilities to go at all of the data that you have actually put together, right? So we talk to curated information in your environment along with the rules that we build into ours. So we build guardrails in so that you don't end up with those kinds of situations. So you can build limits, guidelines, and preventers, if you will, that won't allow stuff to go outside the realm, as well as what do you do if you get a question where you don't have an answer. Even pulling it via a RAG environment, you just don't get a good answer that you feel confident about. What do you want to do? And so you can set those thresholds. If I'm not going to allow a system to make up an answer. If it doesn't have a real solid confidence score behind it, we'll ask the customer to rephrase, or we go to, escalate to an actual agent to handle it verbally. If the agent's the one doing the querying, we'd ask the agent to rephrase or to maybe query a supervisor if it's something that they absolutely need to address at the moment. And so ask others, and query that way. And so we are very aware you can't give people bad data or they no longer trust the system. So we've got preventers in there to stop that from happening.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? My favorite part.
I have more, but I want to get through the demo, so I'll wait. Can we get through the rest of the demo?
We can.
Okay, that sounds good.
We need to, Marla.
All right. So let me go show you on the next item that I wanted to highlight here. And let me push another screen across here. Let's see, let me get these guys. Okay. So what we're looking at here, this is our interaction analytics page, right? We talked about analytics and keeping in mind that we are analyzing every interaction. We analyze the voice because we transcribe everything. We analyze every digital. It comes transcribed, so we're good there. And so everything gets transcribed. As you can see, to address Alexander's question, we've got all the different media streams as well. So we're giving you counts, amounts, percentages. We're also giving you positive and negative. So the sentiment that you're seeing across the spectrum that you're evaluating. So we can go in here and we can filter based on specific time ranges and other stuff. So we can add filters that you want. The idea here is to give you a perspective, right? So if you think about it, the world today has three kinds of reporting metrics when it comes to contact centers. You've got real time, you have historical, and you have analytic. Right, so we're looking right now at the analytic measures that are often the very hardest to pick up. They take the most time without advanced AI kinds of capabilities, which we have in spades. And so things like words, like just build a word bubble. What are the most common words we're hearing out of all the interactions? Again, we pretty much grabbed everything. So across the entire spectrum, we've got word bubbles as well. What are people talking about? Are they talking about specific products? Are they talking about services? Are they talking about locations? Are they asking about this or asking about that? And so we can give you an idea of what kind of questions you're getting without having to go listen to all of them and just start making peg counts on a sheet of paper, which is really lengthy and not usually very accurate. Again, we talk about some of the sentiment trends, profile terms. We're looking at terminology. Again, we're looking at all of the words. So we're capturing phrases. Do you hear specific terms? Do you hear phrases? Do you hear, substring? So we can look for phrases that have certain words that are close in proximity to other words. And so we can get very detailed in the examination of what we're looking at, even to the point that we take these words and we start looking at frustration. And so how many customers and for which product or which agent, right? So here we're looking at, these are categories. We can look at specific agents. Are there certain agents that tend to make customers frustrated, or the customer is very frustrated at departure, not necessarily at the conclusion? So you've got insights here into what's going on. Taking this a step further, we can even get down to the point where we go way beyond just sort of analyzing the words but start to look at the behaviors. So we're now looking at behaviors that we have associated with customer satisfaction. And so we can start to evaluate which of the agents, right? So I can go look at my entire agent population all through the list. I can sort them by these specific behaviors to sort of see, in fact, who it is that's doing the best job of delivering the right things. Do they build support? Do they set expectations correctly? Are they effectively questioning, self-service, inappropriate comments, whatever? And we can look for that, sort them out, and this gives us generally a very good idea of where coaching is really applicable and would be helpful to improve the overall process, right? And so you can start to see and scale these over time. Are you starting to have a positive effect on these? And you're getting higher scores from different agents. Now, of course, we can go in here and we can filter these, so we can look for agents that are part of a specific team, part of specific channels, looking for different categories of phrasing that trigger this kind of analysis. The beauty is you get metrics on the analytic perspective that if you tried to do all this by hand and listen to every interaction, which is what we're doing, it's every single one, you probably could not come and put this kind of chart together, right? It just doesn't work. Yeah.
I apologize for interrupting you. I just wanted to give a heads up in the effort of time that majority, or at least half of us on this call, have had a very in-depth demo for analytics specifically.
Wonderful.
So if there's anything else that you wanted to really dive into.
Have you already seen QM as well? Those were the two items on the list, were quality management and analytics.
Definitely analytics. I'm not sure based on QM. Is that the custom quality assurance?
Quality around coaching and evaluating.
Yeah. So you've seen that already as well?
I believe so. If you want to jump to that, you're welcome to.
Let me just jump real quick. So the idea of QM is that,
Yes.
I mean, everybody does forms, right? Everybody does evaluations of agents. The beauty of our QM is that we can go in and utilize our capability, our analytics capabilities, to auto-complete forms. And so the evaluation form itself can be driven based on the analytic results. And so we can look for certain things within that and drive it based on behaviors, these certain types, what you see, the sentiments that's there, and whether that's enlightened sentiment, which is a more thorough evaluation of the overall interaction versus just the final sentiment at the close of the interaction. And so the idea of making the QM process very simple and very automated is a reality here when you introduce this along with the analytics piece. And then the sort of the icing on the cake is that now you built all the forms, and every department can have as many forms as they want. But then when you start building up plans, so how are you going to use the forms? You build out schedules, and you can build out schedules to meet your requirements. You can select based on the media type. Again, and we've listened to everything. So we know the qualities that every interaction has, and so you can go through and have our system automatically select the number of interactions that you want to be used for evaluation for each of your agents based on what criteria sent to which evaluators, and have all of that automated. That's the quick and dirty on QM.
I know that we
Question.
are using QM. I was just gonna say, as a comment, I know that different departments are using QM. I don't know if anyone is using it. I don't think so in an automated fashion. So that's very cool.
It's, yeah, big time saver, big time saver.
This
Here
may
in
be
the Bellflower,
obvious.
We do have quality plans, so we have this set up for our call center already.
Obvious question because I haven't seen it. But if you do it automated, a supervisor can go back and change it if they find that the automation missed the mark.
Yep, you can change it, and you can decide if you want the agents to be able to contest it. Because along with the evaluation, they'll be linked to the recording so they can listen to the actual interaction or read it if it was a digital interaction. So you have a complete process in place. We can also use QM to do coaching the coaches. In the same way you train agents and coach agents, you can have evaluators evaluate other evaluators to help train them and bring them up to speed as well. So it's a quite a versatile application with a lot of capabilities in it.
Tina?
Yeah, and just kind of a one-off question here. All of the items and the features that you showed us today in this demo, is that included in the package that we're looking at, or is this extra and something that we can choose down the road, or is this included in the basic package that we are looking at?
Yeah, so the digital interactions are all part of your package that you have going to be available to you. And you actually have them today. They're just not configured to run through CX1 today, Ring CX. But they will be if we decide to move forward on let's say putting the chat, putting the email, putting SMS, these types. But you do have the digital interactions as a part of that. Auto summary, that which Mark showed at the end, how we're going to have that auto summary, post note taking that's all automated, that is included in as an add-on that you don't have today, but will be made available in our new package. Where we disposition that interaction, as that was asked, hey, we want to push it into, let's say, the customer card in Live Agent or in Dynamics or within your environment, that will be built as an integration through an API through in the implementation process. So a little bit of design work is going to be a part of where we eventually put that. One of the pieces that Mark was showing in the customer sentiment side, that's going to be an extra. That's a part of our Copilot piece. Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. Is customer sentiment available without Copilot as part of that, or is that Copilot driven?
You can get sentiment as part of interaction analytics.
Okay, great.
For the advanced package, you get that. But if you
Okay.
want to see it on screen in CX1, that is a Copilot feature.
Yeah. So the sentiment piece, that would be an add to what was described. But I will say a lot of times customers look at the auto summary as the entry point into Copilot. And Copilot is really when we're going to fully automate the agent assistance, where you're going to get the sentiment, you're going to get the next best action, you're going to get guidance, knowledge presented to the agent that's all curated with your knowledge. And then you're going to get the autopilot. All of that's built into Copilot. And that could be something we build to in the future. We kind of roadmap that as next level for you guys.
Microsoft Copilot?
Pardon
Or
me?
is that a different Copilot? Is it the Microsoft Copilot you're talking about, or is that different Copilot?
That is our Copilot, not Microsoft's. Everybody has a Copilot these days, apparently. So we stole that buzzword, or they stole ours, whatever. Everybody's got Copilot, but no, this is the NiCE Copilot version of that. And then the digital interaction that you saw, that web chat, that's part of our DFO package that's included. Yeah, go ahead, Arturo.
If it's decided that we're moving forward, if I don't know where that is, I'm not involved in that, but is there like a implementation process on how we get these services up and running with our customers, whether it be storage treasures or whether it be our call center team, on because I'm on the onboarding team, so I'm the one who will typically work with our customer to get that chat bubble on their website, to customize it, to customize the questionnaire before the chat starts. Will it be a process for the onboarding team to go through to make sure we're setting them up properly on CX1, or is that something you guys take on and we no longer deal with the customer and you guys will be doing that? That's kind of where.
Yeah, that's a great question. So our intent is to train you folks and your administrators, which could be someone in your role, Arturo, that when you're onboarding your customers, you've got the expertise to integrate the DFO capabilities of NiCE into your customer's environment. So we don't necessarily need to be involved in every one of those, but our goal is to have you as the sole source of that capability and train you on how to do that. We will have a partner with us who's going to kind of be the hands-on, if you will, kind of have the steering wheel as you guys get into this. So they'll be available, but the idea is that you guys will be the administrators of that capability.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And what is DFO?
Digital first omni-channel, which is our kind of our overarching term for all of this digital channel, which I think today you've got several different solutions in production. And Dan, and I know Tina, you guys are probably going to talk about determine if those channels will move over to NiCE as a part of this. And for full disclosure, you've got them on the platform today. You're just not enabled to use them. You're utilizing them elsewhere. So, yeah. But hopefully you guys saw the advantage here is that your agents can have all of those interactions right in front of them. As Mark showed you, I've got a voice, I've got a chat, I've got a WhatsApp. I can handle all of those interactions without going from multiple screens. It's all right there in my agent interface. And if I have that, now I have all that interaction data. I have all that recorded. I can look at the analytics. I can coach the agent on every one of them. So the value add is it's all within your, CX1 agent interface. So that was the intent, is really to show you those capabilities. Yeah, Arturo?
I guess just another question. We utilize queues in a lot of our calls, or voice, I should say, I think we're calling it. But the SMS piece, each person uses their own Ring Central phone number to text out to, in the onboarding's case, or the onboarding specialist, to text the customer or the installer or whatnot. But there's not really a way for the customer to text a singular phone number, like our main line, and then have any one of our available agents answer that text message. It would essentially, right now, they're texting directly with a specific agent instead of a queue where different agents can hop in and grab that text message.
Yep. So in interest of time, let me answer it very quickly. We're an enterprise carrier, just as Ring. We can do all the things that they do. If we want to match what they're doing, or if we want to modify that going forward, we can absolutely do that. So SMS texting is a queue or a skill within NiCE. That channel can be delivered right into a skill. So if you want to make numbers available and those route to a skill and be answered in queue as you're describing, that can be done. Absolutely.
You are both choice, Archer. You can you could have SMSs go, if say the source number matches a known number in Dynamics, then go to that agent. You could look at it and say, we don't care who it's from, it goes to a queue. You could even get to the point where you analyze the content of the message and then make a routing decision based on content. So you've got lots of flexibility it's not universally applicable, that you can apply logic and sort of if then else logic to say, well, if it's this or that or this or that, and make sure you do exactly what you want with each arriving message based on your criteria.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Marla.
Just to be respectful of everyone's time, I do have 3 quick questions, but also
Sure.
Alessandro and I were hoping to see what the mobile app view looks like with interacting in chat. So my main question is, do you want me to ask my questions now, or would you like to schedule a follow-up call?
No, I can stay on. Mark, do you have a second, or do you have a mobile demo maybe available that we can just bring up?
I don't have a mobile demo today available. The location where I'm at blocked a bunch of stuff, unfortunately. What I can describe for you that the chat widget you saw, right? So this, let me see, I'm still on screen here. Let me go back over here. So when this guy comes up, like if you use this interface, now you could just have a small little, like as you have today, a small little bug that you click on and it just opens a chat window. We can do that all day long, and you can embed that into applications natively. You can put it on websites. If you wanted to bring up something larger, like an introduction to knowledge prior to connecting to an agent, this screen has been designed. It's basically it's sort of a auto scale environment. So it will when it opens, it will occupy just the screen on your mobile phone, and whatever size that screen is, it will just fit. It's a PWA basically that will just occupy the screen, and the customer can go from there. And as I mentioned, so if one of the options you picked was a dial, or not call me, but call, just place a call, it would dial off your smartphone and use the microphone speaker on your smartphone, and you'd have an instant voice connection over a WebRTC link.
So
we
could,
Marla, just as a suggestion real quick, we could just do a little video demo and send it over to you guys when Mark's available to do that. So
great.
Yeah.
I promise my questions are really short. If you just
Sure.
have 2-3 more minutes. One of them is about the phone call capability. Can we display certain contact options based on specific conditions? For example, if a customer is logged in and they are a facility versus a bidder, or if they have a certain type of membership logged in I understand that would require an integration with our CRM, but are those capabilities possible? Certain contact options based on conditions?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, we can, as long as there's an API that'll let us get the data, and Dynamics definitely has that capability. They're one of our major CRM supported platforms. Yeah, you could look it up, and then depending on what information you wanted to use in your decision process, you could use, including other aspects of, what are my agent states? How busy are we? Do we want to do something else? So you can take environmental and operational characteristics as well as the incoming person or entity, whether it's, like I said, a site, it's a customer, it's whatever it is, and put all those things together to make your decision. What do I do with this?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
The another piece of live person or current live chat platform that I know Storage Treasures relies on is the ability to co-browse, so we can see the screen that the customer is on. It also will provide us a specific URL, so as they navigate the website, we can click to exactly where they are. I apologize, it's a long one. And also, I just want to know if you track like device type, IP address, some of those just technical data that would be useful for every interaction.
Yeah, so we have a way that we can provide co-browse if you want that, so an agent could launch that and direct a customer with it. And an agent desktop has the ability, again, if it's been enabled, like they can sort of, if they're chatting, you could push the URL easily. Here, go to this, click on this, and it'll open a session and we'll be connected. You could send it via an SMS message really quickly. So if you're on a phone call, you could then open a session up and go, okay, I'm open my browser, here's the link, and away you go. So yeah, there's a variety of ways to initiate that co-browse session, and then logic that goes with it as well. What you can, because in a co-browse session, there's a lot of concerns about security, whether it's PII and PCI data, so you can build rules that actually mask that. So if customer enters information like that for whatever reason, the agent does not see it.
And can we take control over co-browse, as in if we wanted to navigate their PC?
Sure, that's a really good question. You can, yes, so the agent, it can be allowed to navigate, but then as well for certain areas, you can prohibit the agent from clicking. So they can't click an OK or accept or pay or anything that involves, some sort of commitment that the customer needs to make. You can ensure that only the customer is allowed to click that field. The agent is not.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry for my questions. That's all.
Oh, it's great questions.
That's great, Marla. I'm glad you brought that up. And I think with any of these considerations that Dan and Tina are handling, these requirements will need to be brought up, because this has all been somewhat out of scope. So if we bring it in, we really need to know all of those things that you're doing today that we need to account for. So thank you. Yeah, Mary?
Just as one last kind of overarching question, are we looking at the differences between our teams who are business to business versus our teams who are business to customer? And I mean, the storage treasures teams have differences from the call center, and they're all business to customer. Then we have onboarding and tech support teams who are business to business. They're talking to businesses and not to the customer. So are we looking at differences among all of that, I guess?
Is that a question for us, Mary, or is that to the rest of the team at OpenTech?
I think the team at OpenTech, I think we're aware that we have differences on how we need to handle when we're talking to a facility manager, which some teams, that's where they live, is with facility managers or higher above in the hierarchy, versus people who are renting space or who are involved in their belongings being auctioned, or who are, buyers, bidders, or sellers. It's completely different audiences, I guess. And I'm from what you've said, it looks like we can structure different kinds of questions, different kinds of everything for those different audiences.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Mary. So what Mark has done is with a little bit of creativity here, is put together what may appeal to the storage treasures, right?
Right. I get that. Yeah.
So your other sites that may be more B2B, that chat widget may not follow the same options here. That may have a bit more knowledge, because those folks may be looking at, hey, we're interested in OpenTech services as becoming a customer. So you may have more knowledge that you want to make them searchable or available. And then maybe that automation of the chat interaction is a bit more cogent to the B2B conversation. So yes, those digital interactions can start based on what page, what app, wherever they're coming to, and we can highly customize that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. This has all been really good interaction, folks, and I think there's a lot that can be taken away. I'm going to share this for the team and Dan for afterwards, but Mark and I are available. I'll send out a summary, and feel free to reach out with any questions that you may still have. But looking forward to starting the onboarding process with you guys very quickly. So
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for your time. It's been wonderful. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
good to see everybody.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.